Thank you all so much for being here. This is a comedy dream panel for me. A-list, some of my favorite shows. I want to take all your shows and tell everyone to watch them, and that's why we're here. So thank you all so much for being here. So we're going to talk about some comedy today. No pressure to be funny, but a little pressure. First, we're going to start talking about chemistry, because I think you all were blessed by the casting gods with your families, with your coworkers, with your friends, with your afterlife patrons. You all have these incredible casts that you work with, and chemistry is so important. And I wanted to start with you, Lily, because I'm imagining that with Jane you had a shared vocabulary already from working together and being friends in real life.
Yes.
But did you all sort of fall back into a similar chemistry, or did you start a new one when you started working on Grace and Frankie?
Oh, I think it had to be new, because we were doing new characters, and the show was a totally new idea, and we had the guys, Sam and Martin, with us, and it just seemed sort of blessed from the beginning, you know, and we hear how we all have such chemistry. Of course, we're not aware of it, but we are grateful that people perceive that.
Yes, it's very important in the visual medium, and I think that you know it when it isn't there, right? And whatever may be happening behind the scenes, do you all feel like, I mean, you and Molly, Issa and Molly's relationship, I mean, was that there right away?
I think so, yeah. Obviously, I auditioned several Mollys and did chemistry reads with different women, and Yvonne and I just had, but she's one of those people where you meet her and you want to be her friend immediately. So that helped. People usually think I'm trash when they meet me. So she just really helped to elevate me. But I think...
I second that.
Where is she around now by any chance?
No, she's not paying me for this at all. But
we all need her, though.
I mean, but she's great, and I think you can definitely tell when you're off. I think there's certain days where we'll be shooting a scene and I'll feel like, oh man, I feel like something's off, and I'll know that it's within me, but you just kind of have to work through that. But
and are you ever surprised when you have those moments when you actually see the show that you were having an off day, that it actually ends up just killing? It's much funnier than it felt in the moment that you were doing it.
No.
Yeah.
Don't think so.
I just don't identify with the second guessing of anything that I've ever done. So you lost me at have you ever doubted? And then I was like, I don't know.
Bad day. That's not your thing either.
I don't know what that is.
No.
It's a lesson to learn, though, when you read a script and you think, this is not funny, this is not going to work, and then you see it and you couldn't have been more wrong.
Right.
It does work.
And you also have the times where you read the script and you're like, this is so hilarious. Yes. And you're like, what a pile of dog.
and then you wonder, did I make it?
Yeah. The critical component, the dog. Damn it.
I think chemistry is really good writing and two adequate actors. Yeah. Really, it's the writing. I mean, I do think you can have wonderful actors and the material sucks. You're not going to talk about their chemistry, most likely.
Right. So they could even be in love off stage, but if the material's no good, it won't matter.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
There's some alchemy that goes on. It's more magic than anything, really.
Yes, and it would be a shame if those writers ended up striking, wouldn't it? We love you guys.
No, we absolutely need them. And it occurs to me, Issa, you must be in the guild. Are any of you in the Writers Guild?
I'm in the Writers Guild.
And so, of course you are. Are you guys worried about the strike?
I feel like it's absolutely necessary. Am I worried about it? No one wants to strike. It feels, it stops things, but that's the point. It's supposed to get people to pay attention, and it would suck, but I'm ready. I stand with them.
I'm one of those people, like, whenever I hear people that get mad about like a baseball strike or a basketball strike, there's that part of me, like, if you're against the players striking, what you're saying is you're not in favor, you're not supporting, sure, people that, granted, have a lot of money, but you're sort of saying, like, I don't support 300 millionaires, I support 30 billionaires. That's who I'm on the side of. So I'm all for it.
But writers they are getting shafted, man. Yeah. There's some great writers who have turned out some fabulous scripts, and they didn't get much money for those at all. It's amazing. And boy, try doing something, you said it, try doing it without the writers.
Yeah. I think there is that thing, like when when we talk about ensemble in comedy, I've been thinking about this a lot recently, like especially like on our show, there is that thing of like the ensemble that is not just the main cast or the supporting cast. It is the ensemble of directors and Dave, the showrunner, and the writers. Everybody getting on that same page is incredibly important. And I don't know, it's like that thing about chemistry. It kind of applies to chemistry that you have, like to trust a writer or to trust a director. Especially like there have been times where in that like, I don't know if this moment's gonna be funny, and then they say like, no, it's gonna be funny. It's gonna work, and then you trust that it will. And I don't know, like to have that trust in other people is great.
That's one of the beauties of television. It's a collaborative art that truly is, and we often are the ones on the front, but it is every aspect of it and all the different people that make it work. I am often one of those people where the writing's really good and I'm like, I need help. And I'm always asking the writers or the director that's there, like, if you need to give me a line reading, but like help me find the funniest version of this. How do we make it as funny as it can be? There's sort of a hopefully a selflessness of that where the collaboration occurs.
And it's interesting because you talk about the writing, which is clearly the most important thing, but you're all in comedy too, right? So how much of an opportunity, since you are all single cam, nobody here is multicam, nobody's working with an audience, which is often very helpful, that
I always hire 20, 30 people to follow me around. They've ruined a bunch of takes, but it makes me feel better.
You feel good.
Yeah, thank you.
Feel good, yeah.
Thank
I've
you.
heard about that.
Thomas,
I've heard that,
Thomas
yeah.
is with me. Yeah.
I have hair and makeup laugh for me.
I
yeah.
condemn that type of behavior, but I have heard that.
there's an HBO perk maybe. You guys should look into it. But is there room for improvisation? Because what you guys are doing, almost all of you, I think, you're not doing standalone, I can just jump right into that. You're all doing serialized stuff. So is there room for improvisation within that?
Oh yeah. I would argue more than any multicam, because with the multicam, there's like a pace to it, and if you derail it, you kind of have to like start way back and kind of gather that up and make sure the audience is on board. With single cam, you can just like try alts and then slide in whatever you like in the edit. So I would say there's a lot more opportunity in single cam stuff. But
Sure, you're on HBO.
I don't
You
feel
guys
like there's
can-
that much improv room for us on our show because our shows are more tightly scripted.
Yeah.
And I mean, there might within a certain expression you might be able to improvise, and especially my character, because frequently I get kinds of like things I'm going to sing to somebody or things I'm going to try and make it wacky, so I can improvise those things. But we don't try to do too much.
Anthony and I do a lot, mostly in the scenes with us. With the kids, we don't. Things can derail very quickly if you do that. There's too many of us. But yeah, Anthony and I do a lot, and we often, with new directors that come in, when the scene is done, we ask them to not say cut, because that's when Anthony and I kind of start to trail off. And some of our best stuff in the pilot especially, that was how a lot of the juice of our relationship kind of got established.
I think it also depends on how far behind production is. like, that was a really funny joke. You cost us $20,000, so thanks for that. Thanks for that.
We're now behind.
We're now behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you're funny.
Yeah.
So
we
Ted-
don't improvise, and it's sort of verboten to do that. It's a real writer's heavy thing. I don't know. A lot of you have written, but I'm always amazed. It's happened to me a couple of times where I've written the script and I'm in the scene, and some actor or actress will just take off, and I want to say, you are aware I wrote this, right?
That's hilarious.
Because I'm aware you think you're funnier than me. And everyone's aware that you're not. I didn't say it, but I wish I'd said it just like that.
But now you have said it.
Yeah.
You're on
Yeah, no,
record.
she's listening at home, or he. And
Yeah.
I do think it has to do with sort of the culture on a set and
Yes, it
what
does.
is established. And I think there's a respect that happens between actors and writers that there should be, there can be, sometimes there isn't, but where it's established if that is something that happens on your set or doesn't, that is something that happens on our set. It's something that Kenya's one of those people that kind of like likes the juice to kind of be flowing. So he wants that, but that's not the case on every set.
No.
Yeah,
it's not.
ours either. We can't. It'd be like trying to improvise Shakespeare. It's so stylized that kind of
Yeah.
they would stick out immediately.
But yeah, I think sometimes the philosophy is also different. Like, there's been times where it's like, you go and do a scene in a comedy and they're kind of like, yeah, don't worry about what's on the page, just go do your own thing. And actually, lately I've kind of started hating that. I'm like, don't make me do your job. But at the same time, like, even if I get an incredible script, I want to have the freedom to more so just like add a moment, or if something was funny there, go on a tangent, get back into it, and keep going. Like, make sure everything's there and you've got that, you've got what's on the page covered. But if you want to find some added juice to go on the yogurt
on the bone. Juice on the bone.
Juice on the bone.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
Juice on the yogurt
Chemistry.
parfait bone.
Collaboration, improvisation.
Yeah. Then that's okay, because you more so like, ideally more so looking for like a moment or like a brief runner and then get back to kind of business.
We haven't been able to do it in a while, just because as like the cast has gotten bigger and the story, like their scenes have gotten shorter. In the first season, I remember that Armando, when he was still showrunning, we would have 12 and 15 page scenes, and we would do it and we would get all of it, and then he would say, just hit the major beats. We're going to do the entire scene, don't use the words, just hit the major beats. And it really was an amazing experience to go in, and we weren't looking for funny jokes, we were just trying to look for something that made the scene a little bit more natural, just like a little moment here or there that would add that sort of level of naturalism to it. And it really was an amazing thing. You were essentially improvising like a 15-minute play, and they would just kind of stick the cameras over in the corner, and you could go, they just kind of generally lit, and you could go wherever you wanted, and you could really mess it up.
That sounds exciting.
Honestly, it really was an amazing experience.
I've never had that
You're right,
experience.
it's time though. The guy that did our pilot, Mark Mylad, would say, I've got it, do one for you.
Yeah.
Inevitably, we do the same thing that we'd been doing.
Yeah.
Every once in a while,
something
good, but it's a matter of time. I mean, we don't have time to do what's on the page, really.
Time and who you got. I mean, there's like, there's plenty of comedies in film and TV with people that, I don't know, maybe aren't even used to doing comedy all the time, and no slight to them. I mean, it's been one of these things where it's been really interesting on our show, where it's like, oh, we're all kind of like touring, more or less working either comedians in stand-up or improv or something like that. So it's not to say that, because I get that, like, hey, I wrote that, what are you doing? But it's not to say like, this is it, watch this magic. It's just, it's also about like, hey, we're all trying to make it funny. We're all trying to collaborate on it. Like, I trust me, I know comedy too. Okay, great, let's shake hands and do the math on it, I guess, if that makes
Bill, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Joan Cusack, we'd let go. And some of the stuff that Joan and I did but she's a force of nature. You just sit her down and let her go. Yeah. And wait for a line that you can recognize and jump in. But some of the stuff made it into the show. God,
Did
she was
anybody
funny.
else hear Joan Cusack we let go and thought y'all fired Joan Cusack? No. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. But
No, she got tired of flying back and forth from Chicago because she had her family and her boys, and I missed her.
well, I made that awkward.
I do.
Is she telling everyone we fired her?
That's what she told me. I don't know if she's telling everybody.
Oh God, this is so
Spread it around.
Yeah,
Just spread it around.
She did tell me too. She called me in tears when I was like, Joan, baby, Joan, sweetie.
Hold
Joan,
on just
baby,
1 second.
Joan.
Guy, Joan, I'm so sorry. So sorry to do this. Joan, hi. Yeah, no, he's here.
Give me the goddamn.
So one other thing that you all have in common, and is one of the reasons that I love your shows and many other people do, is that they are comedies. They are uproariously funny, but every single one of you and your cast members have gotten to do incredibly poignant, heartbreaking, dramatic things as well. These are not, you too. I was telling you about it before you did. You have done, Michael has some hard times up there. But I'm thinking of you dealing with Saul, with finally breaking down on the beach, you breaking down with Molly on the couch. I'm getting upset thinking about it with Lawrence. I mean, poor Jonah and all the abuse.
Oh, Jonah, yes.
So much abuse. Richard being dejected when he's, giving up Pied Piper, or not giving it up, but I mean, you have gone through it all. And I'm not sure you've evolved at all, but you've gone through some stuff, comas and brain damage. And so it's not like these are all set up, punchline shows. And I'm wondering how important that is to you as actors to be able to have that range of stuff to play, even though you're technically on a comedy.
It's sort of the new thing, isn't it? It's dramedies, because I think it's an old Mike Nichols rule. If you want to make people cry, get them laughing first. If you want to make them laugh, do it in a sad scene.
To me, it's very important. The whole show is important, that it has, dramatic moments for everybody. We have the fellows, the stuff they go through. Martin had to come out to his mother, his aging elderly mother, and she died shortly afterward and never did forgive him or embrace him in any way. And so many moments like that, they just come up in life. And if you're really exploring that part of the continuum of time, a lot of that comes up. And then there's everything that we've lived through. Like I just recently had a scene with Talia Shire. She played my sister, and we were separate. We were estranged for 40 years because she had told me, I'm not going to tell you the plot. That's terrible.
No spoilers.
Shoot me when I go back to work. Anyway, we had a very deeply felt exchange, and so many things. I mean, everything we go through. I mean, we really are, circling the drain. As Phyllis Diller often said to me. She'd say, we're all circling the drain.
I feel like the dramatic stuff is really, for me, that's one of the places that the writing just really comes in. Finding that beautiful balance of how to tell the real story and the funny at the same time. I feel like, especially on Blackish, like the way they write that special little tone, is what it is. And as an actor, you get to lean on that.
Mm-hmm. And is it hard to walk that line, though? I'm thinking, especially on your show, you had that great episode recently where your eldest daughter was going off to college, and you and Dre were so upset. But then, so you went from these sort of really wacky moments to these very poignant things, and you all have to do that to a certain extent. So what is it? Is there a way to walk that line? Is there something that you do, or is that just comes naturally because of the writing?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's the way it is in life.
Right.
Like in some of the heaviest moments, like you just kind of make a turn, and then next thing you know, you're crying, and then you're laughing. And I feel like the more it's grounded in reality, the easier it is to sort of seamlessly make those kinds of turns. But I think it's established in the writing.
Yeah, we have to do a sort of funhouse mirror version of like what a real person's feelings are. Like all the terrible things that have consequences to the, like they, behind them there's selfishness, but like it does, like I wanted that and now I can't have it. So we have to find that sort of weird version of humanity, because the people on our show are not good people. So you have to find the humanity in how would a terrible person get hurt? That's like, I like when Jonah goes through the actual the actual molestation storyline where he was actually getting molested. Like I really wanted that to not only have weight to him, like it was like workplace abuse, but also never wanted him to realize the one-to-one of his own behavior. Like I'm being sexually harassed, but he thinks when he makes comments about women, that's like, oh yeah, no, we're just having fun. Like he never actually sees those two things. But yeah, like those funhouse mirror things for us, like there's just no morality there, so you have to kind of invent your own.
I love the way you guys just plow on. I mean, some of the insults you throw at each other would stop a normal person, but it's just a blip, and you keep going with your objective. Nothing will stop you. And it allows you guys to get in more jokes per page than just about anything on the
it's
on the
really
tube.
pretty. There are some stunners, like ones that you really like. There was one last year. They came in with an alt, and they were like, "Okay, on this one, just tell them you look like melted Play-Doh on a flagpole." And I was like, "My God, guys, my God, I'm a man with feelings." And they had come in and they looked me up and down. And
Who
then
looked
thought,
like melted
okay, we got one.
Play-Doh?
This guy.
We got this guy, melted flagpole, melted Play-Doh on a flagpole. And everybody was like, "Yeah, thumbs up."
Yeah, very accurate.
Is there a lot of hugging for you on the set after that? I feel like your character takes so
Nobody
much abuse.
feels bad. I don't get a lot of apologies at all. No, they're like, "Yeah, that makes sense."
But I guess they want you to stay in character. But your character also used cancer to his own ends. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, that entire world, there are times where I do feel like, can we get away with this? And then I do remember that not a single person on that show is like, their behavior is not supposed to be emulated. Like top to bottom, there is not a good person on that show. And so, yeah, whenever like, oh yeah, they would use cancer to their eye. Yeah.
Oh my God, we did one where I had come into a lot of money and I lost it. And I was trying to figure out where it was, and I had donated it to a guy who made artificial limbs for little kids. And I did a scene with this little girl, about 12 years old, cute as a button, who only had one leg. And I had grabbed her leg, and she grabbed the other end, and I'm dragging her across the floor saying, "Give me my leg." And she's saying, "Please, mister." And I walked over to Michael Hisrich, who runs our show, and he's on the phone, and I said, "That's pretty funny." He said, "I'm calling the lawyer to find out what they're going to do to us for that." It was shameless.
There you go.
There you go. It was shameless.
Comedy pushing the boundaries.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Absolutely. Well, I actually wanted to ask you, Bill, and everyone here has varying degrees of experience, but Issa, I'm hoping that being among this group is giving you hope that season 2 and season 3 and season 4, is down the pike. But how do you keep? You're going into season 8. How do you keep that character fresh? It's not like Frank really evolves. So how do you keep doing that and making it fun for yourself and making it interesting for yourself?
Again, it's the writers. They just keep writing delicious things to do, and they do this great thing of just when my character has been as despicable as you think he can be, then they throw in some moment of humanity, and it's disarming to the audience to see that he's an actual human being, but they're so much fun to act when you can turn on a dime and it's genuine emotion and it comes out of this insanity. That keeps it interesting.
And Ted, for you went off, obviously, Cheers. We all bow down to Cheers. We all bow down to Cheers. You went off and did Damages and Fargo and so many interesting things on cable.
Why don't we go around and just share some experiences of your work, of my work?
This is not a bad idea.
This is not a bad idea.
This is not a bad idea.
It really wouldn't be hard
It would
either.
not be hard at
Oh my
all.
God! Like roll out the scroll.
I'm thinking National Treasure.
Yes, absolutely. And I
Is
think
that too
that's,
dusty?
You were in National Treasure?
Damn these kids.
and I just love how boldly you're saying that sitting next to Lily Tomlin. Cheers to you. Cheers to you. But truly, you have had the experience of doing the basic cable, doing premium cable, and now you're back on broadcast. And you mentioned earlier about, you're on HBO. You and Tracee are in the position of not being able, you have limitations that everybody else here doesn't, being on streaming and being on premium. And was it at all hard for you to go back into that world, or was it easier because you guys are making up your own words?
I know I'm just laying this on the writer's feet over and over and over again, but Mike Shore is this incredibly bright guy. He's assembled amazing writers, and I think you look for somebody who has a voice that just has to write this, and then you ask very nicely if you can be part of that. And then you jump on board and you say their words over and over again, and you go, oh, that's how they wash over me, and that's what happens when I say them. And you're off on this train, and I don't have anything bright to say about it other than if you're lucky enough to be with great writers, then you just jump on board and they take you places, and you just kind of hang on.
And Tracee, for you, not only, you were the hardest working person here, by the way, most episodes of anybody because you're on broadcast.
And the 24.
Yeah, exactly. So
You also get paid for 24, I'd like to point out.
I wasn't complaining. I'm just tired, that's all. I'm just a little tired.
and you were also working in a family show too. I mean, you guys push the edge with a lot of topics, but it is still a family show. Do you ever sort of look around and think, one of these days we know that Bo would use a different word when she gets mad?
The truth is, though, that Kenya and on our show, we do use those words. They just bleep our faces out. I mean, he pushes the envelope. Sometimes I'm amazed at what they get away with. But it works within the context of sort of the tone of our show. I also am not in the office, and a lot happens in the office environment that's like edgier. Those people are not people. They're just terrible people. So I don't know. I like working in the limitations of network television. And I give so much to the writers. Like there's a lot that happens. They come up with this story and they do 24 of them, which just seems like at the end of it, it's like, where are you pulling this stuff from? They write for so many characters. They keep us all consistent in terms of who we are and the point of view. I mean, it kind of blows my mind. I just have to worry about me and Bo, you know?
But Bo's had a great evolution in the last season and a half, though, and I think that within the limitations of a conventional broadcast sitcom, you guys have really been able to show growth in those characters. And I know that goes back to the writers again, but is that something that
that's me.
Oh, okay, excellent.
I mean, they just write well. They don't.
You know what makes me think of everyone talking about the writers is that somewhere the young generation, more writers developed, because we couldn't possibly have enough writers to furnish all these shows that are on the air. There are so many more networks and purveyors of product that these kids, the kids have just been more expanded in some way. It's like they're from outer space.
Issa came from
Well,
outer
I
space.
was about to say Issa came from outer
The
space.
internet and outer space are kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But I wondered when we were assembling this, talking about, I mean, your show is about friendship, like many of your shows actually are, which like a lot of shows. But it also has that core group of 4 women sometimes that go out, and it makes me think of the Golden Girls and Designing Women and a little show called Girlfriends.
Some of our wonderful writers work with you.
Yes,
yeah.
I started there and then ended up, on our show. Our showrunner actually started as a writer's assistant on Girlfriends and is now, obviously the showrunner. And then Regina as well.
Prentice still with you?
Prentice is our showrunner. Yeah,
Prentice,
he's the one who started as a writer's assistant. So.
But this show was also, you are part of a wave of people that you decided, I want to do this, and you went out and you did it. And you got a show on HBO, so, I mean, you really did it.
Yeah. I mean, with a lot of making shows, like I made 3 internet shows in the process, but it was just more about not seeing the television shows that I grew up with. I wanted to see more Girlfriends. I wanted to see more Martins and Living Singles, and felt like that just wasn't the case anymore. And so I was just like, I talked a lot of mess, and someone was like, you talk a lot of mess, why don't you do it then? And I was like, oh, I could do that? And so I feel like the playing field has been leveled just in terms of being able to create something and put it out there and actually have people see it and like it and spread the word about it. And that's what kind of led to the show with HBO. But I think that's where people are coming from, just wanting to, having been influenced by a lot of the television culture and feeling like there is something that they're not seeing that they want to contribute to the space. And the playing field is leveled in the sense that they can do that. Like so many agents and managers won't even represent writers if they don't have something online now, where it started before where you had to have a spec script or, an original pilot. Now it's like, where can I see your work online before I decide to represent you?
It's interesting.
Yeah, you have to have it made already.
Basically.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of access now, not only for writers, but for people kind of getting into the business, because as Lily said, there's a lot of avenues for content. There's just a lot of content. And I think what that garners is, yes, a lot of saturation where you're like, I have no idea what show to watch. But also, there's just room for more risk. I think in television, you're just seeing a lot more exploration, and people who are either off kilter or from left field are now being considered, both in front of and behind the camera. Like, I don't think I would have had a career 30 years ago or something. It's like, not this. But I think just other stuff is happening. I mean, I sort of mentioned it before I started running, like stuff like Stranger Things, like that wouldn't exist up until a certain point, up until a certain era of
I don't think
television.
Grace and Frankie would exist.
A lot of our shows, probably.
And I don't think The Good Place would either, actually, because they are such different ideas. I mean, your show really represents I think, a forgotten part of the entertainment business. And it really gives lie to the idea that we are not interested in stories about people in the later years of their life. I mean, you're going into season 4 now, right?
Yes, right.
Did that surprise you at all that there was so much interest in it when we are, I think, told that we are not interested in those kinds of stories?
Yes, no, I mean, but it's been sort of part of, from the first year, we felt like we'd had enough success that because we heard from so many people, young people, old people, just across the board, people were responding to the show. You know, daughters would take their mothers to the show, and mothers would bring their daughters to the show, and stuff like that. So, and a lot of men liked the show.
Yeah. And so will there ever be a real world application for this lube perhaps? Or, I mean, I didn't realize the show could talk so much about vaginal dryness and be so successful.
That's true. That is true.
I feel like this is a marketing opportunity.
I
you
said
guys need to
if
take.
those vibrators really worked, Jane and I could have made a fortune. We could have sold them so easily.
All right, somebody in production needs to get on that. And Ted, your show is so
No vibrators.
like no.
Oh, actually, we do.
No,
Sorry.
there is one.
Yeah,
She
that's-
goes home and
that's
falls
right.
asleep on her
Interesting
vibrator.
segue. Ted actually has a branded dildo that he's been selling, a branded vibrator. Oh, it's still a test market? Sorry.
It
Beta,
didn't work.
Okay.
A lot of lawsuits.
Did not work.
That could have happened to anyone, man.
That's brutal.
It was from memory, and I just blew it.
But it was a good Shark Tank episode when you got funded. That was
I
good.
wish we could have gone. I would like to go on Shark Tank.
Oh wait, what would you sell with the vibrators? You mean?
I would have sold probably anything that I thought would sell.
Just to get dressed down by those like.
No, I would talk them into it.
Yeah.
That's my fantasy.
Yeah. So your Lily Tomlin's fantasy is to win at Shark Tank.
I think this also needs to happen. Yeah. So whoever's watching from ABC, that needs to happen.
I always feel like you'd be so intimidating. There's no way that they would say no. They're like, I'm not going to say no to Lily Tomlin. And then if they dare,
Oh, you're hallucinating.
You got.
They're pretty badass on there. I
they're
think they
tough.
might. Yeah.
But I think if I had a product, if I could get one of those people as a partner, they would just make it happen.
Yeah.
You're about to get so many emails.
Yes, you've opened up a whole can of worms here. But actually, that brings me to another thought that I had, because we were talking before about this incredible proliferation of shows. There's something like 465 just scripted shows on television, not reality, not TV talk, not news, just scripted shows. What are you guys watching, and how do you decide to watch it?
I'm watching a lot of things. I watch so much because I can classify it as like research. But I find it interesting because nobody's like, oh, there are too many books. You know, I think there's a place for everything. I think people now we're kind of just sharing the limelight, but literally so many people can find a show that speaks to them, and I find something amazing in that. But I tend to watch what people tell me to watch, what I see conversations are happening about, and I'm just excited to be immersed in a world. And there's so many movies. I always say that it's so much harder for me to sit down and watch an entire film, but I will watch 12 hours of a TV
I know, it's
show
very
in one sitting.
strange.
It's so strange.
It's very strange.
But I'm just like, no, I don't want to waste my time watching a movie when I can, you know.
I haven't watched a
spend time.
movie in a very long time. I've watched documentaries.
Documentaries, yeah, they're completely different.
But to go to a movie, I'm like, I don't know.
You
so
didn't
much
see
good
Fate
TV.
of the Furious? It's so good.
I did not.
I
did not see that.
It's so good. I love those
movies.
movies.
Don't spoil anything.
I did not
But
see
that
that.
is a thing, and that I've heard from a lot of people, that for some reason they can't commit to a movie when they sit down, but they'll like watch 6 hours of Shameless, or they'll binge all of The Good Place. I can't tell you how many people told me they watched all of The Good Place once it was out, like in one sitting. That
brings up. It's so strange that you can get okay ratings overnights, and then when you factor in cell phones and everything else, all of a sudden you're this hit because a month later enough people have cobble together watching your show.
It allows for a lot more patience, which is great on the behalf of their purveyors, right? You know, you don't have to have these crazy numbers right out the gate. You can let a show breathe. I'm not sure it may be still like super cutthroat on network and, you know, upfronts and all that kind of stuff. And all your numbers, kiddo. I don't know. I'm picturing a guy with a big cigar. But like,
numbers aren't doing it,
yeah,
kids.
yeah, I'm the president of Hollywood. You can see me in that documentary.
Does someone have an ashtray?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
I think we should take this on the road.
yeah, this is.
Yeah.
Watch out.
I think writers.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So it allows for a little bit more patience. And there's also shows that, honestly, the numbers really never get alarmingly high, but they end up being sort of cultural milestones and sort of like flagship shows for their network, that you keep them around for as long as they want to go. It's kind of a different, I mean, that's a different way of doing things.
Oh, no,
Go ahead.
I was going to say there is something when I hear that, like it seems overwhelming that there are that many shows, but the first thing that my brain goes to is like that means that so many people are employed, and that means that there are so many ever since that's what I've always wanted to do, and so when I hear that, I just mean that just means there are other people like me, that just wanted to have a job in television. They wanted to be in a movie, and they get to do that. And it wasn't just beholden to 4 networks. And that also means that there are writing staffs for 467 shows. It's a lot to swim through, but that's an amazing.
So we're going to
thing.
take the high road now in the conversation. Is that?
Yeah.
All right. Fine. All right.
He's changing his
But
whole tack now.
can you remember when there would be 3 or 4 shows, maybe max, that you wanted to be on? I mean, dramatic, maybe even as recently as West Wing or something. Like when West Wing came on, I said, "How come I'm not on this show?" I could not believe it.
And then you were.
I was. I lobbied to get on it, and I went on as the assistant to the president, and that was supposed to. Anyway, yes, I did get on it finally, but I'm just saying there are so many shows that you'd like to be on, and the huge range is just, I'd like to be on everything. Just have one crack at every show.
You're about to get a lot of emails.
I also
You're really
all
working.
of your
She's
shows.
working this. Yeah. You got so much work coming.
So you'll be on all of these shows now, right?
Yeah.
You'll come and
Good,
get
good,
Insecure, Shameless, Veep.
You want to swear? You want to swear at a giant, dude? You want to swear at a giant? We got a lot of those.
All right, we have it on record. Tracee, you were going to say.
I was going to say that with all of these shows, one of the things that has changed, and one of the reasons I watch television so much, is women's stories are being told.
Yeah.
Nuanced characters, women that are driving the stories, and it's so different than it was, and it's exciting and it's fun, and I feel like I keep seeing different kinds of women on TV. Like the character on Billions, I'm like, this is fascinating. Yes. Like I've never seen them have a woman play such a power role, such a secretly powerful role. Like it's fantastic.
Chuck's wife, you mean?
Yes.
She's Maggie Siff.
She's
so
incredible,
good.
and so sexy in not the typical television way of being sexy, and all of these things that I'm seeing so much more of that, and it's exciting. All different colors and sizes of women and all of that. And it really didn't exist because I've been a TV watcher for, ever.
I think reality TV, as much as we hated it when it first came out, has served us all because you had to almost up your scripted game to match the, whatever that you were seeing in real life.
Yeah, that's interesting.
A few of my favorite shows are reality TV.
Which ones?
I have a lot of guilty pleasures. I watch, obscure, like Forged in Fire, which is like a blacksmithing competition on history. But I also like, I know. I like The Bachelor, Bachelorette, The Amazing Race. I mean, I love those shows. It's
The
just
Voice.
like,
Come on, The
you
Voice.
just got an hour and you
watch
just
any
want
of
to see it,
watch
a
only
little bit of
dramas.
some human drama, some people
like
getting
only
drunk
watch
and having
dramas.
fights, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll watch it.
But to Tracee's point, and to your point, reality also opened up that world as well, because you actually ended up seeing in some of those reality shows, The Bachelor not being the best example, but other shows like The Amazing Race, seeing people of different shapes and sizes, being people of different colors, seeing more women than you were seeing in the scripted shows on television, and that we saw that there was an audience for that, and so we get to see that more in the scripted shows too. I mean, I think that.
And movies help television because, the small, quiet movie, they still get made, but not as much as they used to. And now the writers and the actors that used to have that world open to them now have amazing television, you know, whether it's cable or miniseries or limited runs. All of a sudden you have every actor, director, writer available to you. Anybody will play that game, you know.
I'm just feeling, I feel so rich as an industry, not that I feel like an industry, but I feel like, you know, hooked to this industry. Like I feel rich, you guys talking about all these talents. Yeah. You know, like Jane and I, Marta Kaufman, who was the creator of what's the name of our show? Of Grace and Frankie. You know, Friends was part of her history, and she just spoke to us, and it was just great. But I'm just saying, so many wonderful people.
And so many richer stories, too. I mean, to the point of talking about the terrible people on your show. I mean, they're actually sort of terrible people on all of your shows, too, at like varying degrees. But that is more like real life. Like we were saying before, that you get this catholicity of characters. You get people that we think are angelic and maybe turn out not to be. And, you know, it is more like real life even in the afterlife. But it does require people to pay attention in a way that they probably weren't to sitcoms even 10 years ago, or even some sitcoms that are on now. And that's okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's kind of a different way of telling stories. You're talking about, like, I don't want to do 2 hours to watch a movie, but I'll do 12 hours to watch this TV show. It's because you kind of end up seeing, like, you end up being Neo in the Matrix, and you see the binary of movie making, and you know that minute X, there's probably going to be this thing, and you can see the arc, and maybe the movie will be getting really good, and then it just sort of goes and ends, and, you know, with TV, all you have to do is kind of like make sure that the last minute of the episode, especially if it's serialized, is some kind of enticement for you to watch the next one. But so much can happen. There's no sort of like save the cat within a 22-minute episode thing, or an hour even. I mean, it's just like, it can kind of go anywhere. There's a lot of exploration, and that's so refreshing, because I know for me, especially in comedy, in features, it is tired. It's tired. Studio comedies are the most boring. I see the trailer, I'm like, I'm going to stay away from that like the plague. And so I think, thankfully, we're being shown that people who watch content are noticing it and sort of sticking their noses up at it. It's great.
You can't underestimate how sophisticated audiences are now, too. They've seen a lot of shows. They've been watching them for years. They grew up on it. And I think they've been ahead of us for a while. And now, with this proliferation of so many shows on TV, now we're ahead of them again. But for a while, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
You watch the first 20 minutes of the movie, you can pretty much tell what's going to happen.
Yeah, you realize that so many movies are built on specific archetypes. And then I think the advantage of having 465, whatever the number of shows that are on the air now, is there's so many different types of characters and so many different types of terrible people that you can say, oh, I find myself in this particular person, or I'm compelled by this particular story that I have no idea where it's going to go.
I also have to say that 12 hours of television, or 8 seasons, you know, on Girlfriends we did 8 seasons, there is a joy as an actor to be able to dive into a character and stay with it. Yeah. It is so exciting and fun, and that's again where the writers come in. Like, you get that script and it's like Christmas to me. I'm like, what is this? You know what I mean? I'm pregnant now, shut up! Oh my God!
You get to have your character arc play over years.
I mean, it's
like,
so fun.
And they can come back, like, I think, you know, this is on brand, but like Game of Thrones, the idea that, like, okay, you see a character develop and they will go away for a season, and then they'll come back and be like, you know, tu brute, you know, stab the guy that you're like, I love that guy, what happened? You know, you can have some real webs that you can do super long plays. The Hodor, hold the door. That was a long play.
Heartbreaking.
I know, but
That
like,
was
it can't.
incredible.
That was
Such
so
a big
personal.
setup. Such a big setup. Now we're just. But
Y'all
like,
knew.
but you can do that in TV, you know, with a show that runs for X amount of years. You can do a super long play. You just don't get that within 2 hours.
You're growing with
amazing.
these people too. Like, as an adult, like, to be able to say I started at this age with this particular show, and now I understand kind of the trajectory of these characters because now they're central to my own life, is very powerful too.
And to go to work with the same crew and the same actors, I love that.
If you
Me
if you
too.
enjoy them, it's
Yeah.
a great great
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Even if you
I've
don't,
been
though,
lucky.
honestly, it is.
Sure, yeah.
There's
Lucky.
something very special and specific about it.
Yeah.
I'm
love my-
married to Anthony more than I'm not.
I love my trailer. Sometimes they wrap me and I don't go home. I just go to my trailer and hang out. And
I've definitely made a few Teamsters mad by just hanging out there
Yeah.
for like an extra hour, and they're like, "Dude, come on, like let's go."
I do a lot of. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm undressing as I'm walking from the damn set. Screw this
You're
business.
so thoughtful. You're so thoughtful.
We haven't talked. We have a great DP, and for comedy
Oh
to be
my
able.
God! Don't talk about DPs. We have the
Really?
best in the business.
Well, we have,
fight.
because we light. You know, if you have to turn, say that funny thing that so and so did 3 hours ago when we were shooting in that direction, you have to turn around and be. We don't do that. Everything is lit, so
Yep.
we have 3 or 4 cameras going, and if that little moment of magic happens, boom, you've got it on both sides.
we have one of the things I love about our show is like the sort of fly on the wall way that it's shot. But one of the things that we have to lean on as a show is that our camera guys have to have impeccable comedic timing as well. Like I think there have been camera guys that have come on, or camera people that have come on that haven't worked out because they are as funny as they are an extra cast member in the show, of like the specific timing of when do they move off somebody onto the next person.
You had our DP too. You had
Yeah,
David.
we do. Yeah, we have an entire David Miller.
Yeah.
We actually share an entire production crew,
Yeah.
The Good Place and Veep, and those guys are immensely talented. But just like a millisecond too early or a millisecond too late can kill a joke.
I think one of the things is these new cameras, the Alexa camera. I mean, you can shoot in a coal mine with a match. It's
Which probably isn't a good idea.
the first
Send the
season,
canary in at least.
You know, when
first.
you do a film, you do the scene and there's your moment that's coming up, and you're, whether you admit it or not, you're just waiting until your moment comes when the camera's on you, when you're going to do it just a little better, which is the kiss of death. But first season, we would do this thing. They would light the whole thing. It's as you said. I mean, we'll do scenes that are 2.5 pages. It starts here, goes in the other room, comes back here, goes downstairs, and we don't cut. We do the whole scene every time. So the first season, I go up and I go, when are we gonna get to my moment there? And I said, oh, dude, we got you before lunch. You've been finished. You're done in this scene.
You're like, baby, I didn't turn on the heat.
I didn't do it. I didn't
My
do it a little
magic.
better. So it's great. It's freeing because just sort of be there all the time and let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah, because close-up itis
Not
is
cards,
horrible.
chips. Let the chips fall.
Close-up itis. What does that mean exactly?
When all of a sudden
it's
the
on
camera's now just on you, and you've been natural and da-da-da-da, and everyone else has just toned it back. Besides bringing the heat, you also turn the heat way down when you're off
Don't
camera.
even say your lines.
You know,
So now you're really acting.
what happened when you slapped me? Remember? What? No,
This is where the acting comes in. Come on, you remember
true.
what it was like.
it's true.
Whenever they do that, whenever they're like, all right, we're gonna be really tight on you for this one, there is that thing where you're just like, okay, yeah, I'll actually natural, and then you're just like, hello, sir friend. And then it's terrible. I would rather they just not tell me. I'm a bad actor, I think is what I'm saying.
No. When you're older, you'll realize you just need to pose. It has nothing to do with acting anymore. It's just angle the head and pose and hold it just long enough.
And know when to close your eyes.
Yes.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
God.
Was that Michael Caine? Have you seen that?
Yes.
Who would say that?
Michael Caine did a whole thing about looking people in the eye. If you look around, you lose your power. If you look them in the eye, I don't know.
I don't know if you guys have I feel like I've had the pleasure of being around like an incredible group of actors, like since being cast on the show, and just I've learned a lot of things. And
you talking
sometimes
about
like
us?
one of the best. I'm talking about you guys.
I thought
Whatever.
Every once in a while, somebody will just say this. Like one of the best acting tips that I ever got was like, look at the camera side eye, and just only look at that one. That way, your eyes don't go like that. And I was like, oh my God, like this person's a genius. That's like one of the best things I've ever been told. But just little things like that.
It
you
is
think, like,
interesting. There are like technical tips.
yeah, it's like a technical thing sometimes, and
Yeah.
you forget like, oh, I was so in the scene, and they're like, yeah, but your head looks all weird. I was really in it. Like, yeah, it's all unusable. Like, I'm glad you felt in it, you know?
Jeffrey Rush says, crying on camera, it's easy. You just say, B, 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 G, G, G. And it said, what? And he said, you just go, B, B, G, G.
All right, here's the game. Here's the game. Everybody on each one of our shows has to do that at least once next year.
Okay.
Done.
B, B, B,
I'm
G,
doing
G, G.
it. Wait, I want to practice. Do it again. BBBGGG.
You can fill it in. He said something funnier than me, but BB Chi Chi. Let's go with BB Chi Chi next time.
It actually really works.
Let's all
I'm
cry.
going to try it.
That's good. I feel like we all learned something today, and I am glad for that.
Are you wrapping up?
Not yet. I have a couple more
You watch
questions.
a lot of television.
I watch
don't
so
you?
much television. I read
Wow.
books too, and though, and actually to your point about that, and I think you're right. Nobody complains about how many books there are.
Well, the
but
Germans
books-
did in the
When you
40s.
move. When you move, you complain about how many.
Yeah,
books.
that's true. That is mine are all still in
Solid Holocaust joke. Squeezed it in there.
So few
LA
of them.
Times.
It's a very small window. But the books are often like a solitary thing where you want to share TV sometimes, I think, and that's another thing that's happening. Like, I am loving Insecure, but my friends are not caught up yet. And so we're in this new world where we all probably are like, have you seen episode 6 yet? And like, you can't talk about it because we haven't all watched it at Thursday night at 9:00. And so are you finding that like when you're interacting with fans or even your friends, they're just like, no, don't tell me what happens.
Oh, all the time. That's extremely frustrating. Like, I will have to leave the room because people won't stop talking about a show that I haven't seen. And I find that actually interesting about the binge effect. Like, people talking about, Grace and Frankie before I've gotten a chance to see it because it's a show that is meant to be watched in one sitting. Like, Dear White People just came out and people are so much more ahead. Even the showrunner, who I love, I was like, your pinned tweet is a huge spoiler, but it's just, you can't keep up with everything. You kind of just have to rely on your small community. Like, one of the things that I do after I watch an episode of any television show is I go online immediately, or I go to my favorite review site and will like look at the comments and interact there, and that's my way of feeling
do
like
you?
I'm part of it. I do.
That's an interesting note. Maybe I'll try that.
I don't do it for your own show, but but I do write it.
I'd love to know, what shows do you watch when it's 11 o'clock at night and CNN has just depressed the hell out of you? What do you turn on that allows you to go to sleep with a slight smile on your face, or at least calm?
That's reality.
HGTV. I've watched more houses being built at 11 o'clock at night.
So funny.
I find, maybe it's just because I really like Terrible People, I think, I'm not kidding, and this is a little embarrassing to say, I think I have seen every episode of Arrested Development 30 times.
Oh, yeah.
I have
that's
watched
real
that
deep
show.
viewing.
Oh, and I just watched it, I just went through it all again
That's
recently.
fair.
I can't watch a show twice.
Really?
Like if a rerun comes on of something and I've seen it, I'm like, oh God, can't do that again.
Now, what if
Really?
you were in that show? Will you watch it twice then?
Of course.
Oh yeah, I will.
Yeah.
No, I will watch that one with detail.
What do you watch TV on? What's your TV like?
I have a great big, like 60-inch Samsung
Smart TV.
fancy,
God,
yeah,
it
smart
is like
TV
going
with
to the
Netflix
movies
and
nowadays,
Hulu.
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a movie in a long time because I do this.
Sit in front of my big TV and watch something on my phone. I found that I'm doing that more and more just because of the convenience of it, and it's there, and
I do that to Woody Harrelson movies just to piss him off. Just to piss him off. Yeah, I'm watching you.
Am I the only one whose guilty pleasure is Lock Up Raw on MSNBC?
Oh my God, I love
watch.
Lock Up.
Lock
And
Up Raw?
Netflix
Yeah, I've
has
seen that.
them all on archives.
Oh, I
so
mean, I will
go to
watch.
different
I will
countries. Yes.
hours. Yes. Swedish
that's something
jails are
that'll-
very clean and.
And Swedish jails make me fall asleep at the same
Well,
time.
do you guys
peacefully,
ever get it
with a
like any
smile on my face.
laundry done?
That's when you're doing it. I do a lot of laundry while I'm watching TV. I had my, ER was my stock folding show. I saw 15 years of ER doing laundry because
I end up searching for a lot of kind of like what would be, I guess, like DVD content just online, like on YouTube. I just went through like all the seasons of Seinfeld bloopers and just had a great night. Just like I don't know. I end up avoiding a lot of TV mainly because I'm just thoroughly addicted to video games. But like outside of that, yeah, I'm looking for the like extra bits. I don't know. That's usually what I'm hunting for.
This is an odd thing, and just because we're all in comedies, I feel like I tend to not want spoilers when it comes to dramas. Like I watch dramas the night of, But there is a part of me that feels like we should be able to post our scripts online before you even see it, and we should still be able to make people laugh. Like there's something about the execution of it that like I try not to spoil things for people. Like if they haven't seen it, I won't go out of my way to do it. But there is that part of me like even if you know, like we're still gonna make you laugh during it. Does that make sense? Like I find myself not being as concerned about finding the spoilers.
A joke is hard to spoil. You can spoil a joke, but there are plot twists. I
points,
mean, a lot of these shows that we're all talking about are kind of serialized or have like some element that like, oh, I wanted that to be a surprise.
My character does give birth though. She actually has the baby.
She does go
It's
through
been
with it.
the longest pregnancy. I've been pregnant for a year and a half, and I give birth a month too early, 2 months early.
How's it?
I know.
He's pregnant for so long you can actually see the kid's face pressed up again.
God.
Ask it, Mom, can you turn the
Oh
TV
my
down? Mom,
God.
can you turn the TV down, please? Yes.
Let me out.
Let me out.
What is wrong with
I have
you?
a driver's license.
We're waiting for the season finale.
I tried to pitch the Vagicam to Shameless, and they wouldn't go for it. But what I wanted to do, somebody would say, God, can you imagine Frank Gallagher's a kid? And I wanted to do one of these things, me with my beard and just coming out looking around.
Oh my God.
But apparently to build a vagina big enough
Oh, God.
was too expensive.
That's your Shark Tank idea.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
It's a great gag, though. I sure wish they would do it.
Yeah, and they can do it. You're on Showtime. I feel like that actually would be possible.
It's the vagina that we couldn't do.
Right.
We got the permission to do the joke.
We're just going to isolate that part of that. By the way, it's the vagina we couldn't do
Yes.
as like the promo for this.
Such a good idea.
Just so you know, that's what's going to happen. And I wanted to ask. Ted talked about TED Talks about CNN and it being depressing. And somebody had said to me the other day about how much we need comedy right now. I personally believe we always need comedy. It's part of our food of life. But do you all have a feeling that it is what you're doing, whether it is topical or whether it is escapist or whether it is commenting on what's happening in the world right now or not, that it's important what you're doing, making people laugh?
Yes, but it's also important to get out on the streets. It's also important to be involved in an organization. It's also important to, show up now. I don't think I could just hide behind making people laugh.
Yeah, I think the conversations
I
are
think it's
more
gotten
important
worse.
than anything else. I think that the conversations that specific topics may spark to get people out in the streets and taking action, or even making them aware of something that they weren't before, are the things that are important, I guess, and that make some of our shows special.
I think we've got a lot of power, though. A lot of power, and we've got we're just actors, but I think it's important that we make sure that the stories we tell are true. True in the bigger sense. I credit Will and Grace with passing gay marriage. It all changed with Will and Grace, and it changed in a couple of years. Everybody fell in love with them, and the gay marriage thing passed in so many states immediately. I credit them. We've got a lot of power.
There is something to be. I don't know. No matter how bad things can be, you all like. I love the show The Leftovers. I love that show. But every once in a while, like in the first season, there would be times where I'd be like, even as bad as it is, like somebody's going to tell a joke. And in that first season, nobody ever told a joke. So I do think that it is like, we're all here because we used comedy as a coping mechanism.
I take that back. You're right.
But there's only like escapism is good, but if it's all escapism, you're escaping. So I do agree that like we have a platform and we have a voice and we have, I don't know. I really trailed off in there because it's a big
but
question.
I also think that we are curing cancer, actually.
Yeah.
We are. Sorry. We are making people better.
Yeah.
By laughter.
Yeah, but
Maybe
that's a
not.
nice. It's nice. I also think there's like I think many comedians are like cynics, and as soon as like we've got a bunch of actors talking about how important we are, there's like a bone in me that's like, and like really in the end, we just want to be like approved and have people laugh at us and have attention and stuff like that. And really in the end, if you're making an effective comedy, that's kind of what you're doing. And I think not all comedies have to be message. If you said that, then like Tim and Eric wouldn't exist. And I think they're super weird and strange and hilarious and should be worthy of discussion along with the most poignant, subtle, whatever. I think everything's calling out what is being absorbed by the comedic effort. But it's kind of a dangerous road to kind of like.
But it ain't
do
about the
too
actors; it's
big
about the
hands.
show. I mean, we're just a small.
Oh, sure,
part of it. It's
sure.
the
No, I know.
stories we're telling.
I'm being too cynical, perhaps, but.
And we're telling important stories. I mean, your show's getting down to it in this. It's. I love these shows when they stumble into territory and you're going, oh God, I'm so
Are they
uncomfortable.
seriously going there?
Yeah.
They are. Oh God.
But still being funny, which is
Still being
really
funny.
I think you can
remarkable.
receive a lot more when your heart is open because you're laughing than when
Yeah.
someone's punching you in the face. And I do think that message-wise, I think there's a spectrum for it. I think some of it is not changing the world and some of it is. And I do think like Will and Grace or seeing different people on television that look different or, the fact that for the first time in a very long time, the Johnsons on Blackish are an American family. You know what I mean? That for years we're identifying anything other is identifying with a white family, and then all of a sudden we're an American family, and that starts to change something. Or Will and Grace from that point of view, or whatever those things are, or age, or when we start to sort of help people see things in a different way and reflect the humanity that we're all living in. That for so long on television was not being reflected.
Right. And in a larger sense, I think what I meant more was, and I think all of your shows do this too, because I absolutely understand your cynicism. I don't want to say that it's important. I think we are curing cancer. I'm not doing anything, but you all are curing cancer in a way. Making people laugh, I think, is an important thing.
Oh, 100%.
And not just as an escape, but as a human connection. It's something that we may not all laugh at the same things, but we all laugh. And so the fact that that's something that we share, I think, is important.
For sure.
And you're all doing that. So.
And every element of life is absurd. Every section of it all is worthy of at least the lightest bit of satire or commentary or something, right? So that's how a lot of the time how you get the mirror reflected back at you or back at some aspect of our society that you need to see. So laughter's a good way of doing it, just as way as drama is as well.
Are you about to finish?
I sure am.
Okay, well, before that happens, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm going to take a minute. Listen, the two of you. Listen, you both have really just changed my life with the work that you've done, both of you. And
Wow.
given me,
Wow,
really
so
though,
I'm wild
I've been
because
to
I'm
all
getting
your
lumped
one-woman
in with you.
shows.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
but the two of you, throughout the careers that you've had on television and off the screen, because both of you have wonderful voices with your platform, have given me an example of what you can be on television and as an actor and as a comedic actor. And I just want to say thank you, because truly both of you have had such an influence on my career. So thank you.
Thank you, Tracee. Now, did you do Edith Ann as a little girl?
Yes, I did. I mean, yeah.
I think we all did.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Even the boys.
Are you kidding? Just, oh my God.
thank
When you
you,
start
thank you.
seeing women, like when I started seeing women and you being one of them that like lived so fully in who you were and were funny and gorgeous and all of that, I was like, oh my God, I can do that. And they weren't everywhere. They weren't everywhere. So I really like, thank you.
Thank you. I'm honored.
There's a reason we sat you two.
Yeah,
down.
both of you.
Guys, so
You know, this is so sweet because at work, if I can clear a room by saying first year of Fuck, let me just do one Cheers story.
Tell them
one.
all.
Tell them all. We will all stay after this is over, and you can tell all
In
your
an hour,
Cheers
we're all going to be like,
stories.
I have to pick up the kids. And oh, no, let me get another Cheers story. No, this is good.
You go right ahead. All right, before I let you go, I want you all to give everyone a recommendation of something that you just watched that you loved. What do you love?
God, there's so
something
much
that you
pressure.
It doesn't have to be your most favorite thing ever, but just something that you saw recently. You're like, people need to see this.
I mean, I'm watching Dear White People right now, and I love it. It's made me feel joy and happiness watching.
I'm sorry, what? What are you watching?
It's called Dear White People.
It was the movie and they just turned it
It's
into
turned
a series
into
for
a series
Netflix.
on Netflix.
It just became available on Netflix yesterday. Great. Yeah.
I think, even though it came up earlier, I think right now The Leftovers, I think that they're really doing like amazing, beautiful, like these like explorations of like what's the word that begins with E that makes you sound like a smart person? Existential, like this sort of existential conversation about death and dying and loss, and it's so weird and so powerful, and that's the one that I've been into. Yeah.
Lily, what do you love?
Well, I mean, I like stuff where I can really just like Billions. I like Billions, and I like to watch how, you know, all these people who are movers and shakers. I think this is probably the world that a lot of people who are up there in the White House now come from. And I like all the intrigue of it and all that stuff.
Sociopaths?
Yeah, sociopaths. Yeah.
They're so fun to watch.
There's that word. It begins with an S and it makes you sound smart.
Right. Damian Lewis and Paul Giamatti. That is, I mean, they're so good on there. Ted, what are you watching that you love?
Totally self-serving, but I just
Excellent.
happened to have watched it last night. My wife Mary is in Last Man on Earth, which is one of the most bizarre shows. Will Forte is on from a different planet. He's on your planet, actually. Will Forte and you must have somewhere along the line. I don't know if you know who he is, but they took that show and kind of opened a door for network TV to say, no, comedy can be off the wall.
It's true.
You know, and they did that. So I give
They
them
probably
kudos.
helped your show get on the air.
They did, and our writers credit them. You know.
All right, Mr. Middleditch, what? Give us a recommendation.
Other than Silicon Valley on HBO Premium Cable, I really liked. I guess it's sort of they're either filming their second season or about to air it or something. Search Party on TBS. I love a good like comedy noir, bored to death. I loved, and this is totally filling.
What is it now?
It's called Search Party.
Search Party on TBS.
On TBS, and I say that like who knew, because I don't know, whatever. No slight to them, you know. It's a lot. For a while it was like a great place to get Seinfeld reruns, but you know a lot of people, a lot of networks, a lot of places are kind of like we're doing our own thing, and we're taking the page from all these other explorative networks and trying kind of weirder stuff. So yeah, Search Party.
Yeah, Tracee.
I'm gonna have to say 3. Chewing Gum. Oh my God! And I think second season is coming.
It already came.
It
on
came.
Netflix.
Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
Chewing Gum. Worthy. That girl.
Where is it?
Oof. It's. I don't even know. I don't know where things are anymore. I just find
It's
them.
on Netflix right now. but
Netflix?
It's a UK show that's on Netflix.
Chewing Gum. Oh my God! I just lost the other one. But Catastrophe. I loved.
Oh, I heard that.
Yeah, and Fleabag.
You're into the Brits right now.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess
You
so.
like the Brits?
Actually, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's totally true.
They have those accents that makes them sound smart.
Talk to me. Did you notice
They
that?
say things like
I don't-
sociopath.
I just-
Yeah. Oh my God,
I
that's
like
smart.
the English. I didn't even notice that. That's so funny. Yeah.
All right, and Mr. Macy, bring us home.
I'll be self-serving too, but I was really impressed with ABC. I've been watching American Crime because of Felicity Huffman, but it's going places that I didn't think I would ever see ABC going. And one of the things I love about it is they do use language, and they just drop the sound out.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I can't stand it when we have to come up with these euphemisms. You know, two guys just killed each other and they just shoot out. I'm so cross with you. It's just, I hate that. I say use the profanity and just drop it out if people can. Anyway, I'm impressed with American Crime.
To that point, The Good Place's use of fork and shirt is one of the best comedy moves. I love that.
And 10-year-olds watch it because they love that kind of,
Racy thing.
anyway.
Well, I can't thank you all enough for being here. This is super fun for me, so I hope it was fun for you too.
You're very sweet and very good at this.
Well, thank you. That's nice of you to say. Everybody watch all of their shows. Start with A Good Place, because you don't want the twist ruined for you. If you guys haven't seen it, you've got to see it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love this. Thank you all, everybody.